Hey yo, this is CM Serious. So this is pretty much the next episode here, where a lot of big things are getting ready to happen here. So in the previous episode, I mentioned that heck of a frame drop. I mentioned that I was getting ready to establish a metal-sided wing specialized with all the machines over here, while dedicating the original sided base to power systems. Oh, I'm at the west wing of the base here. I'm getting ready to add some machine walls and whatnot. So what I'm getting ready to do here is that I'm getting ready to one. I've got a lot of space located for 10 roadcraft tanks. Simply not too big, not too small, that can express as a large multi-block on a gauge. I know that the GT tanks would be more efficient in this manner, but you know, I like to be able to have like a big tank feel around here, you know. So I'm going to be having like 10 tanks, each sorted out with their own separate fluid products and gas products and all that. I'll be putting them here, and I'll be having a pipe network grabbing them back here to loop all over the place. Like I'll be having all the fluids that are being produced or circulated around to put on top. Like what I mean by circulated around is that if you guys have seen the last tutorials, there's a lot of byproducts that's being recirculated back into the products I've already created. So I just want to have everything get whipped right back into these tanks. Just doing that should help that make sure that everything gets back to a very main source of these things. So I'll be having all the chlorine, hydrogen, water, steam, and all a bunch of other fluids being all dedicated at this little spot here. I may make use of the quadruple pipes. Don't know yet. I'll have to play around so I can get away with that. It does cost resources to do these things. Probably will wind up doing that, considering the fact that we'll have to condense all the spaces there, considering that I'll have to be routing around a lot of pipes anyway, so I might as well create a bunch of quadruple pipes just for sake of keeping things compact. I'm laid down some chests, so I got all the GT tank parts here already. Then I got the each chest laid out for all the machine walls, so I'm going to be making a electrolyzer wall for the sake of creating a large amount of chlorine and sodium. And then I'll be routing all the chlorine into the respective tank here, which then gets routed to other areas that demands chlorine, whether it be for hydrochloric acid production or silicon trichloride. Either way, I got options of doing things. I'm thinking the general pattern is machines that needs the stuff supplied to them will be supplied from below, and the machines that are returning things back to the storage system will be looping from above back into the GT tanks. This will have a bit of a general organization how this looping system works. In the meantime, I've laid out another foundation here. I guess I'll just go ahead and start breaking this. I'm going to be making use of the I'm going to be relocating the arcane levitators anyways. Well, I'm just going to cut screens here and just go back to what I'm trying to show y'all. Alright, here we go. This is what I wanted to show y'all. So, I'm making use of long distance fluid pipes here. This way it's less of the other pipes being used and it's instantaneous fluid travel from the input to the output. Plus two, and I did discover this, I was experimenting around with this, as you all may have noticed with the previous tutorial. This can work with quadruple steels, the 9 steel tubes, and the no nipple tubes. So, here's something that's definitely worth a while experimenting around with. So I'll be having the fluid pipes looped into here to other places. I don't know if I'm able to have multiple outputs from one input. I will be experimenting that in the future, because if that's the case, then it'll make life a little easier for me to have benzene being distributed. If not, no biggie. I'll just create another pipe network to just loop around, and that will be my early solution before establishing a ME system later on in the series. So, this is near the GT tank. Consider the fact that I'm going to be expanding power production at some point. This does mean that I will be dismantling this and then claiming this wing more with more extractors and distilleries. That way I can have them all be routed across here. I'll probably be making some long distance item transport pipes too as well, because the ashes here are going to build up, and I can turn these ashes into valuable minerals like iron, stuff like that, for a centrifuge. That way I make an effective use of these ashes without putting any of these to waste. Now, plus it spares me the time to just make this block and making the bullets necessary to avoid any excessive resources. So that would solve a lot of problems on my behalf. Steam and ethanol I'll be attaching to this side here from the quadruple pipes there. That way ethanol's being supplied there. I do have the plan on having ethanol be more produced at this side. Might as well, considering that all the farms are going to be at this side, so might as well. I am wanting to do something else too as well. I was lucky enough to find a desert. Oh, I mean, technically speaking, I found a desert, but not the vanilla desert that would produce the cactus. So I got enough cacti here to get things very well jump-started. So with all this, I might be able to get away with making a cactus farm of sort. I haven't played around with the crop sticks with these to see if they would work with crop sticks yet. I'm willing to bet that they do. Don't quote me that they will on that yet until I actually do it. But I'm having a good feeling that they might. If not, then I'll just make a automatic cactus farm vanilla style. Stick with that for now until I can find something better. Which might be a plant that I might be breeding to that has excessive growth speed. I might get into ISO2 crop breeding at some point. Not entirely sure yet. I got other priorities in mind, like getting into HV. Because I got some unfinished business to do. You all remember a few episodes back, I had to delay building a fusion altar due to the fact that I ain't got the means of making stainless steel reliably. But I mean, at the time of plus 2, the Eye of Ender is an HV recipe. So I need plenty of stainless steel being produced and an HV chemical reactor. Once I get that side set up and rooted with power, I will then be cannibalizing the ore processing machinery here and there, and then doing something a lot different. I have discovered that I can actually effectively use the recipe filters, item filters, and the type filters. I'll mostly might be using type filters and the low voltage recipe filter, just for sake of being able to use all the all wide range of dust and outputs from the ore washing system and all that, so that way I'm not having to do too much filter specification setups. That way I can just streamline ore processing and stuff, and I can also start producing resources that goes into its own dedicated centrifuge system too as well. which might be very helpful with this. And plus, too, it should help save me the time of having to go back and forth between multiple chests and keeping things going without having to do excessive inventory cleaning. And I'll probably be making like a huge drawer wall of a sort to deposit those items with, so that way I won't have to be constantly cleaning those chests all the time. Now, plus, too, if I have like a chest, I can just deposit a bunch of impure dusts on there, because I've been doing a lot of mining for the grind stuff like that, and as y'all can see, my inventory space is starting to get flat out overwhelmed with dusts. This is getting ready to be a problem on my hand, getting out of control with inventory management. I would like to redo the ore processing system and inventory storage for each of the dusts I'm doing to allow myself to be at better control with that. So in the process of doing all this, it has revealed some apparent things that will require me to do in the future. So I got more plans in the future now in terms of being able to keep things good. Anyways, y'all, I came here with the intentions of building machine walls here and establishing a network here, and that's exactly what I'm going to do here. So, time to get cracking at it. So as I'm building the all the components and the envy machinery here in this time lapse, I'll go over a little bit what what's going on behind the scenes here to get these machines built up. So most of my time was spent grinding for resources. I actually went through a lot of ore veins, stuff like that, to be able to produce all the components necessary to make all the MV machines. Like, I was going through a fair amount of nickel and copper for the copper nickel components necessary to make the motors stuff with, as well as all the other components, such as the pumps and all. I also was, I'm also needing to start building up more on clay too as well, so I can make more huge pipes for the LVGT tanks. I'm going to be reliant on those for a valid reason. One of my biggest problems, and this was something that I actually overcame when I was doing the creative test world, as you probably have seen in the creative world, is that you have your machines that are producing the fluids directly, and then fluids in cells. I had to have like a conveyor belt system feed into the GT tanks and then back into the cells to make sure that, one, I'm having the same amount of cells going back into the machines, and two, to make sure that the fluids are able to be outputted in a liquid state out of the GT tanks. So this way everything's going into central railcraft storage tanks as desired. Now you're all probably wondering, why didn't I just go through a big heap of iron to make the GT tanks instead of the railcraft tanks instead of the GT tanks instead? Well, I may be using more iron for the railcraft tanks, but one, it's aesthetics. I'd like to be able to see a massive tank fill up with a lot of fluids, and two, and it's actually a functional reason. You don't need to have a fluid pump to output tanks out of a GT tank. You just hook up the fluids down below, the pipes down below, and the GT tanks will output the fluids automatically. So it was actually natural to my advantage to do that, to save a little bit on resources that I'd be running short of, like copper, nickel, and tin. Those three resources are pretty much my biggest sources of bottlenecks to be able to get this going. And even with me making all these machines, I still don't have enough copper and tin and all that to be able to complete all the projects that I've shown in the tutorial videos that I've done. Like, I've left out carbon production and production that takes charge in sinking the hydro the sodium hydrochloride. So I'm having to grind a little bit more after the making of this to make the more components to make those production systems, so that way I'm effectively sinking more resources a lot better. Plus two, I didn't have enough resources to make the centrifuge compressor system necessary to keep everything running seamlessly, so I'm having to go without the compressor system right now. So I'll be having to resort to the LV version to slowly build things up for the time being, and that I will definitely work with. I did plan on moving all the LV machines over at this side too as well, so at least we'll get some basic production of that and going over there. I'm essentially transferring everything I have on the power side of the base over to the west wing of this base. So that's pretty much that in my plans here, so that way I can just have everything be close together. And plus two, it'll be to my favor because I'll then be able to be away from the pyrolysis ovens and still have the EBFs running. That should be less load on the pollution filter that I have set up. So doing that will make pollution more manageable to where I can keep production going a lot longer without being choked out by the pyrolysis ovens and the EBFs. I will, the system's at least going. I am having problems though in terms of keeping the basically hydrochloric acid's consuming more of the chlorine than what the solar grade silicon production is doing. I'm hoping to be able to produce more of the chlorine in the future to pretty much be able to direct more of the chlorine to the solar grade silicone, so that way I'm able to have some of the salt get circulated back into the electrolyzer system, so that way I'm at least constantly producing chlorine. I am thinking about creating more MV machine walls. I'm also thinking about creating the sulfur chloride cells for circuit production too as well with iron thread chloride. I think that's actually producing some products that is necessary for HV, so I might as well produce that for future reference. I also will be scavenging around for HV. I will be making another just a general machine making wall like what I did with LV. This way I have a faster system to work with, and then the LV system will be like a backup system for me to keep things going with. I will be making more pyrolysis ovens though. I need more pyrolysis ovens to keep the power system up to date, because the amount of the gas turbines I just created here is going to be increasing power demand even more. I probably placed down about almost half a stack worth of turbines, so that's going to be a very significant demand, and possibly might be exceeding the pyrolysis ovens, what the pyrolysis ovens can produce. So I definitely want to expand on power infrastructure on this. Anyhow, this time lapse is getting ready to end here, so I'll give a brief moment of silence here. Okie dokie, the first batch of salt that I've had ran out, but I was able to process another salt bank, so I'll be able to give this a better stress test. That's 2 being powered. 4. 5. 6. If we're to contain more salt, I bet this would be able to operate at full capacity. But the important thing is, I've got the chlorine stuff coming in. I've managed to supply that quadruple pipe with water as well as ethanol. So ethanol is now going into this directly from the tree farm. And the chlorine is being circulated from this into this tank, into the other machines. I'm always going to be overstocked on water. I've redirected the thirsty tank from the boiler into a separate spot and just have it route to other places. And I've gained a little bit of molten polyethylene with this too as well. Oxygen, I need to set up a centrifuge system. I don't have enough to make a large MV centrifuge system, so that's going to have to be some other time. Only source of oxygen right now is through the electrolyzers, which can't operate right now due to the fact I'm full of hydrogen. And once the hydrochloric acid gets completely filled up, I will then be able to redirect more of the chlorine into other resources. Plus, too, this tank will be able to get stocked up too as well. And I managed to get a little bit of iron 3 chloride. So things are looking good. I will be having the oxygen centrifuge system just be like sending its gases into its respective tanks, stuff like that. Like, what I'm generally doing is that I'm having, as I mentioned before, I'm having all the fluids being produced go over the top and go into each respective GT tanks. And I'm having the quadruple pipes go to 4 tanks at a time. And each of these tanks has their filter covers specifying what's going in them. So that way, one types of fluids are only going in instead of any. But this will only accept oxygen. This will take in hydrogen. And some of these I'll probably be voiding. I know for a fact I'll be voiding the hydrogen tanks because I'm overproducing hydrogen by excess. Plus, too, I'll be wanting to be able to keep production going stuff too as well. And I'm always going to be having a source of hydrogen somewhere, whether it's from the chlorine or from the not chlorine, but from the sodium hydroxide or water itself through the electrolyzer. I'm always going to be producing those resources. And of course, with chlorine being excessively produced now, I should be able to get a very healthy supply of salt coming back into the system too as well. Even though I'm at a net loss because of the sodium and all that, the silicon processing should be working. That it is. However, most of the chlorine is going into the hydrochloric acid production. Once hydrochloric acid production stops, then more of the chlorine will be going into silicon production. I also managed to tuck in the mechanical cooling system here. And the chrome processing too as well. But I do need to change that drawer. This is a noopsie-whoopsie on my behalf. That's easy. I could just cannibalize this part and just have the pipes go into the separate drawer here. That's an easy fix. But yeah, for now I'll be having 4 outputs instead of the big output that y'all may have seen in a tutorial video. And those 4 items is all I need for this. I'll probably have them stone processed elsewhere, but yeah, that's pretty much the vast majority of the setups here I created here. I just need to get the centrifuge system going. three sources I'll be avoiding is the nitrogen, oxygen, and hydrogen. Those are the three things I'm going to be avoiding a lot. Hydrochloric acid, I don't want to waste that. Same goes with the chlorine and the iron 3 chloride. Plus those byproducts might come handy somewhere at some point. But yeah, in between episodes, I will be slowly moving all my things over from the power side to the industry side here. I just gotta work on decorating this place a little bit more, building things up more, and well, I'll have to do a little bit of excessive spawn proofing outside. This way I don't have any hostile mobs from afar wandering in. And I'll probably do something similar with the storage system, to where I'm occupying one side in the inner hallways. Have a bunch of desk stuff laid out on here, and then exploiting these walls too as well, and then turn one of these places into a work center. Also too, to help resolve the dust issue, when I get the ore processing system going, I will be having a bunch of oak quad drawers along the walls, going along a network of tin pipes going to every single one of them, so that way every dust output that is at its most purest form will be automatically put in, instead of having me go back and forth and try to remove every single dust. That should help me tackle the whole inventory issue until I get overstocked on certain dusts with those drawers. But overall, things are coming together now. I pretty much have most of the basic resources I need to work towards MV pretty much set up. I will need to make more of the IC2 coolant. I've accidentally voided that, what I've produced, so I will need to make more distilled water in the future. But I got plenty to do right now. Next biggest priority after I shift everything over is to create a big oxygen compressor system and all that. That's top priority right now. I'm going to need to figure out what to do to sink this sodium here. I don't want to put the sodium to waste here. I suppose I can turn a lot of the sodium into sodium batteries. But that would increase power draw on these machines, though. I got a lot of thinking and work to do. Anyways, y'all, I know this was a quicker episode than usual, faster time-lapse and all, but a lot has been done, and by far this is probably the most I ever done in a single episode with this. So things are booming. I also need to start getting more copper and tin, stuff like that, because to make all those bronze pipes was extremely heavy on those. I suppose I should start using steel more. I don't need that much throughput with these fluids I'm producing. The only parts I'll be seeing a big need of producing fluid is through stuff like steam or benzene whenever power production gets too big, to the point where I need bigger pipes for bigger throughput. But that's for, again, another time. So anyways, y'all, I'll go ahead and just wrap things up here and wish y'all farewell. So glad I was able to get so much done.